short, our Kiwanis was overbooked at Leon's restaurant, and so was the Ford Scuba Diving Club overbooked. So they had a big table, and we had a big table next to them, and I ran into my fellow Ford employee, Susan Verissimo. And Susan, why don't you stand up? And so we were just talking about, just catching up on a lot of things. And then she just asked me what Kiwanis does, and I just named all the things that they do. And I named the Veterans Day event, and then her eyes just lit up. And she was talking about her daughter. And then the more I started listening to the story about her daughter, I couldn't believe it. She is a major. She's a major, Major Michelle Ruehl. She's a pilot. She put in 800 flight hours in Afghanistan alone. So I'm excited to get to know her, and she's going to talk about her flight hours. She's going to talk about her experience in Afghanistan, and then she's also going to talk about what you guys go through when it's over. When you're done, what happens then? I'm sure there's a lot of memories that you have that's in your head. And she does a lot of therapeutic things for these soldiers. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Major Michelle Ruehl.
Sound at an event, if it's off, it's terrible. In the back, can you guys hear? Yeah. Okay, if it gets really annoying, somebody stand up, do something. If it's too loud, let me know. Second, I have an 11-week-old baby, so please forgive me if the baby cries and needs grandparents running or my husband running. Her name is Calais Sky. I give her a middle name from aviation. She's in the hallway. Grandparents are more happy to have Calais here. I'm sure they came to see me talk, but she's the highlight. So thank you. I'm so honored to be here. As I said, we are local. I grew up in Lincoln Park, Melvindale, Detroit area, and I went to high school in Dearborn Heights. It was Fairlane Christian, and I met someone tonight I hadn't seen in years. Mr. Spiteri was the Booster Club. I think you're in here somewhere still. And I went to school with his kids. Fairlane Christian turned into Detroit World Outreach Christian Academy. And then now here it's a charter school. So it would be, Telegraph and Ford in the Haas area. So I'd love to drive by and see what it is, but I don't have anywhere to go for a 20-year reunion, so I'm going to call this my 20-year high school reunion. So thank you, this is great. I'm here with my husband, Justin. He also put in 15 years and a major. Now he flies for Southwest Airlines. And my mother and stepfather, and I see my in-laws and my brother's here, his wife Maggie. So I'm so glad to have family here. So they asked me to speak tonight, and every time you get invited to one of these things, you think, why would they want to hear me speak? What can I possibly say? So honestly, I'm going to speak from the heart. I'm going to talk about two things. One, the experiences I've had in Afghanistan, and two, what it is like to return home, just from my perspective. This isn't everyone's perspective. We all come from different backgrounds and different viewpoints. This is one story, though. So the way I wanted to open this is to say I have been in for 14 years. I went to the Air Force Academy. I flew C-130s. I flew the MC-12 and the T-53. But none of these lessons I learned in the Air Force were as important or as meaningful as some of the lessons I learned from my grandparents. So stop for a minute, and the way I want to open this is think back to a lesson you learned from a grandmother or a grandfather, or if you didn't have grandparents, an older family member. I'll give you about 10 seconds, and then think about it through the time. So a lesson you learned from an older family member. Okay, I'll give you an example. I tested this on my husband, and I asked him, what was the lesson you learned? And he said his grandfather taught him to live humbly. And I thought, wow, it's small, but it's powerful. And I think that we tried that with our family. So, of course, we have to have a big Ford truck because we're from Detroit. But other than that, we try to live fairly humbly in Colorado, which is where we're from. So I work at the Air Force Academy as an English teacher and a flight instructor. It's a wonderful assignment. After being in Afghanistan, I get to come back to Colorado Springs. It's beautiful. We love it. And I was honored to come back to Michigan. It's always my home. I absolutely love Michigan football. They're doing great this year. Go Ruehl.
You can mention Justin.
Oh, we don't want to talk. My husband went to state, but whatever. That's good. So, you think about that lesson from your grandparents. Well, I had wonderful grandparents. I have two that are no longer with us. And my grandfather on my mother's side used to teach me this thing called PTA. Be at the right place at the right time with the right attitude. Write this down, he said. He was a Detroit cop for 30 years, and I remember being 5 or 6. Okay, I write it down with a purple crayon. I don't know what that means. But someday, I'll start to understand the lessons that Grandpa Yost used to tell me. So I stored that away and didn't think much of it. And then I also have my grandfather Ruehl, who's no longer with us. But if you look on your tables, there's one on each table, and in the top corner there's a black and white photo, and that's my grandfather who flew B-24s in World War II. But what I learned from my grandfather, who was 21 years old and the oldest on this crew, look at all these young men, and he was the oldest one. My grandpa used to sit me on his knee and show me pictures and airplane books, and he'd quiz me. Is this a B-24 or a B-25? B-24, Grandpa! And he'd get so excited, his eyes would light up, and not once did he ever tell me, you know, because you're a woman, you may or may not make it in the aviation industry. He just said, good job, what's this airplane? He'd pick another one. And it's some of my fondest memories. Now his wife, my grandmother Ruehl, she has a lesson that has stayed with me even longer. And what Grandma Ruehl taught me was no matter where you are, no matter who you're with, no matter what's happening in election season, always try to find the music. You can find the music in anything. And I didn't know what these lessons meant. So as we're sitting here tonight, think about some of these lessons and I'll come back to them. Now the way these started manifesting in my life, I'll leave this up here, was let's fast forward about 2012-ish. 2012. I had the honor of serving in Afghanistan alongside my soon-to-be husband. I didn't know yet. It's just a guy I hung out with at the chow hall. And he talked to me a lot. Very romantic over there. So we're in Afghanistan, and we're starting to fly these night missions. If you look at the next couple of photographs, there's a picture of myself and my husband. We flew 11,000 miles up and around and over the world, taking a plane back from Afghanistan. So we went all the way through the Middle East and up through Kuwait, and we got to break, as we say in the aviation industry, break in Germany during Oktoberfest. And you had to wait for the airplane to get fixed. We also broke in Iceland and had to stay there for a little bit. I think Scotland too. So after 11,000 miles of flying together, we decided to get married. We thought if we can handle being in a cockpit that's very small, I'll describe it in a second, without fight. We had one fight in how to park, I'm not kidding, how to park the aircraft at Aviano in Italy. And after that, we were okay. So the third picture down on the left, that's a picture of Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, and that's an MC-12. An MC-12 is a King Air 350 that has 2 propellers. It's a Beechcraft. And what we've done with the C-12 is we've taken out all the nice Gucci seats on the inside, and we filled it up with all sorts of stuff that I can't talk about. You can probably Google it and find out more than I'm allowed to say. But it's called manned ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. So we would fly over the ground guys and give them battle space awareness. So that's where we spent most of our time in Afghanistan, was flying over ground troops. And it was such a blessing to work with the guys. We'd have a pre-mission briefing, we'd know exactly the route they needed to go through the mountains. We'd fly over them. I felt like a mama hen or something, making sure my guys got to go home and sleep in their bed at night. Their cots, if you want to call it. It would be hot. Well, there was a couple of times when those lessons I learned from my grandparents really came into play. And when you're flying at night mission and you're over the mountains between Afghanistan and Pakistan, the peaks are over 22,000 feet. We've got icing, we've got mountain storms that roll in. But never mind the enemy, we've got all these weather things we have to deal with. You've also got a very young crew that you're trying to work with. You're also trying to manage what's happening on the ground. And in those times, I think back to Grandpa telling me, yes, you can fly. It gave me confidence that, I have a lineage in the Army Air Corps, the Air Force to now. I felt this confidence that I could do it. But also my grandfather Yost telling me the right place, the right time, the right attitude. You show up at a mission on time with the right attitude, motivated to lead your men into combat. They don't care if you are a woman or a man. What they care is that you are at the right place at the right time with the right attitude. And if my grandfathers were still with us today, I would say thank you so much for teaching me those lessons that I was able to use in Afghanistan. We also had some really phenomenal missions. The Afghan people had their first democratic national election while we were there. And one of the missions that we got to fly was they would vote on a paper ballot. They would turn it into one center. And they had to take these ballots and take them miles and miles away to a different center. And you can imagine there was some insurgency, they would like to mess up the election, so we got to fly over the election ballots and protect them as they moved them from one space to another. It's just this beautiful picture of democracy in action. And they vote by taking ink on a finger and putting it on a piece of paper. And I would go through the chow hall at Bagram, and I had so many of the locals come up to me and show me their hand. They'd show me that they voted and say, look, I voted. And I said, that's great. I'm so glad that you're excited to actually vote in your first election. I'm glad that you were able to help. Hi, baby. And so then, you think about these missions that we have, and those are great, and those are war stories. But what I really want to dig into is what Grandma Ruehl taught me about the music. Now, what in the world does music have to do with the middle of Afghanistan? So, you look at the next photo on this sheet, and it has a picture of a bunch of little girls, and myself, and another girl that worked there with me, and also our interpreter, Saeed. So, I'm going to say a few things this evening, and first of all, I want to know, does anyone in here speak Dari or Pashto? It'll be funny to you. That's why I say it, because I'm going to try to do it. And I'm sure that it's wrong, but that's what makes the story I'm about to tell funny, because I was always getting it wrong. And I had an interpreter who liked to play jokes on me and tell me things were different until I would say them, and he'd say, oh no, that's not actually what you just said to them. Saeed, you're going to start an international incident. Please make sure I don't say anything inappropriate. But I worked at this school called the Cat in the Hat Language Arts Center. And I had these beautiful little girls. So how did I get to working with girls in Afghanistan? Well, I show up in 2012 and I'm flying to night missions. When I land from a night mission, the sun's coming up and I'm thinking I want to go to the gym and go to bed, but I walk by and there's a piece of paper up on the fence and it says English teacher wanted. I thought, that's interesting. I'm an English teacher at the Air Force Academy. When I'm not flying planes, I teach English. So I walk over, and the Army school had sponsored this building. It was all painted up like Cat in the Hat and Dr. Seuss. And walk in, and I said, I'm an English teacher. And they said, oh, we need teachers. Can you teach these girls? And I said, sure, thinking it would be the following week. And he said, great, they're on their way. And he left. I'm in a room with about 30 to 40 little girls that speak Dari. Some of them speak Pashto. And they were bused in from Kabul to come to my classroom. What in the world do I teach these little girls? I'm not sure. So they come in the first day, and I try to smile and high five. No, that doesn't work. I try to tell them some stories. They are just stone cold staring at me, thinking, who is this lady? Now think about it. I'm in a flight suit. This one I ended up being in our camouflage. We have a different uniforms that we wear. But that day I was in a flight suit, and I had a 9mm pistol on my hip. I think to myself, okay, maybe I'm not so friendly looking. Let me try again. So we went and got t-shirts made. If you look at the picture, it has Cat in the Hat and Dr. Seuss. And we broke the rules a little and wore some Cat in the Hat t-shirts. I took off my 9mm, which is not always the safest. It was a choice I made at the time, and put it in a locker so that I could work with these girls. They started to slowly come around. I saw little hints of smiles when I come to the classroom. But finally, about a week in, I thought, you know what? Grandma taught me to always look for the music. So I grabbed a guitar. Believe it or not, Amazon ships guitars to Afghanistan in about a week. I've done it twice. I left it there one time in the deployment, and the next time I went out, I went on Amazon, ordered it. They brought it in on a C-17. So thanks, Amazon. So I had a guitar. I bring it in, and all of a sudden the girls are wide-eyed, and they're watching me. What is this? What's going on? And I said, what would you girls like to hear? You like music? And they nod their head. Oh, yes, we love music. We love music. Okay, what do you want to hear? And one of the louder, rambunctious girls says, Aladdin. And I think, Aladdin, the Disney song? And they all get really excited. And I realized the Americans had left a bunch of DVDs, and one of them that they had was Aladdin. So they had watched it several times. So they knew a whole new world. So, okay, let's try it. So we start singing Disney songs, and wouldn't you know it, it works on the other side of the world. Little girls love Disney songs. And we start singing some more, they want more songs. And what else can I sing? So we do Hokey Pokey, they love that. And to move around, they're adorable. And then I'm running out of stuff, so I sing Happy Birthday. They don't really know what I'm singing, but they like that one. And they are just the sweetest little girls, and I'm realizing that music is just bridging this gap that I found. They were teaching me so much more about finding the music. You know, we're over there, sure, we're trying to promote democracy, but we're really talking about the hearts and minds. And how do you reach little girls across the globe? Music works really well. And on the last day of teaching this particular deployment, I come in and the little girls say, "We have something for you, teacher." I say, "Oh, really? What do you have?" And one by one, they start bringing me gifts. And one of them that I had, oh, I hear my baby, she'll be okay. One of them is this little ring. It's a Cracker Jack box ring, and it says "Best Friend" in English. I don't know where she got a little ring from in English. Maybe someone gave it to her, and I didn't want to take it. I mean, these girls really had nothing. Some of them no shoes, some of them no clothes. You were providing them polio vaccines. That's why they come onto the face. And I didn't want to accept it, but Saeed, the interpreter, said, no, please, in their culture, please accept their gifts. If you say no, it will absolutely break her heart. So I said, thank you, and I've had her little best friend ring for years, and it was very touching. And then the girls finally said, "We have a song prepared for you." And they sang, and they stood up, and they all sang me a song in Dari. And I didn't know what it was, and it brought me to tears, and I said goodbye, and I left Afghanistan, and sometime after that, I emailed Saeed and said, "What was that song that the girls, they sang to me?" And he said, "Oh, I'll send it to you." So this is a long time after, and this is his translation. It's, "Oh, my dear kind teacher, you are more than my body to me. I will serve you all the time I live. By the blessing of your kindness and by the sweetness of your speeches, you bring me good words. You taught me from the holy book," although I didn't, I think it's just a traditional song they sing to teachers. I wouldn't know enough Dari to teach them, intricate things like that. But they say, "You taught me the lessons that you gave me, the ingenuity. It was dark, and my light was off. My soul got brighter with the lightness of your knowledge. I was tired. I was tied with foolishness. I untied myself by generosity of your knowledge. The scholars of the book mentioned that your privileges on me are all more than my friends, because of your kindness, merciful and tender, and because of enjoyments of your speeches, my spring and fall are beautiful, lovely, and charming." How do you process this? I've had this poem up in my office for a long time, and it's just so beautiful. I wish I could rewind and see that moment again. So I come home, and we were home for about a year, and this is how I knew that this guy over here was pretty serious about me. I thought he was just, another dude. He volunteers to go on a second deployment that I'm on. He doesn't have to. He was an instructor status and did not have to deploy. Somehow ends up on the deployment manifest to go when I'm going. And I find out later he made that happen. So he came to Afghanistan, and I thought, my goodness, he's as stubborn as I am. Okay. So we go back to Afghanistan together the second time, and I'm so excited to see my little girls again. I'm racing through the first night mission, and I finish, and it's just great, again, the stuff we're doing, but I want to see my girls. So I rush over to the Cat in the Hat school, and as I get there, I see the blue and the red building, and it's boarded up. It's gone. There's no one around. No one will tell me. I look around asking the locals that work there, what happened to the school? I just feel a lot of, I don't know. The school's gone. I am so sad not to be able to teach. Wouldn't you know it? Find the music, right? I see another ad that says English teacher wanted. Oh, maybe they moved, right? So I follow this one, and it turns out the Koreans have a hospital, and inside of that hospital, the Korean hospital, they wanted English teachers to teach vocational students. So these were Afghan men between the ages of 18 and 22, 25-ish. They wanted to learn about computers and working on cars. But the Koreans, they speak very good English at the hospital, but they wanted an actual English speaker to be teaching the lessons. So they said, would you teach these guys? And I think, okay, that's a little bit different than the little girls, but I'll give it a shot. So I walk into the classroom, and this is the photo that you see on the bottom left. They're smiling in this one. They weren't on the first day. I walk in and it's a whole room of Afghan men. And again, I'm in my flight suit and I have my 9mm pistol. This time I don't take it off. I think, okay, I'm thinking of my parents back at home and the stories, and I don't want to be on CNN. I'll just keep it on and remind them. Turns out we were just the most loving guys, but it didn't start off that way. I'm in the classroom with them, and it takes a lot longer to try to crack that cultural code. And I'm trying to talk about their cars and the computers. I try to make jokes. Nothing. They're not having it. This woman that's from America that's there to teach them. So finally I think, all right, is there a chance that music could work? What do I have to lose? They don't want to talk to me anyway. So I lug over a guitar, and here we are again in the classroom. And as I take it out, I see them slowly put down their pencils and their papers, and they look up at me thinking, what? This is different. Okay. We've had some Army teachers come in, but they hadn't seen this before. I got their attention. And I think, what can I play? I'm not going to sing Disney songs. I don't want to insult them. So I'm like, I know some American country. I picked Carrie Underwood. I thought that was safe. They liked that. One guy raises his hand from the back and he says, Madam, will you play Michael Bolton? And I think, Michael Bolton? Can I suggest maybe Michael Jackson? Or someone else? I don't know any Michael Bolton off the top of my head. And they say, Michael Jackson. Oh yeah, okay, do that. And then I think, okay, what do I have? Billie Jean is not my love right now. Oh, I can't do that one. Thriller? No. So I think, what about Heal the World? Make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. They liked it. I had their attention. But they still didn't want to really give in. So at the end of class, one of the guys gives me a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper has a name, and it says, Ahmed Zahir. And I think, okay, I don't know who this is. I go home to my little I go to my little bunker, and I have internet service that's really slow, and I type his name into the internet. Turns out he's a beloved Afghan folk singer and has hundreds of songs. He's passed away since, but they absolutely adore him. All Afghan, all tribes just love this guy. And so I'm thinking, okay, what song do I pick? I don't even know where to begin. So I just pick one, and the reason why is the chorus. This particular chorus has a bunch of la 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 in it. So I didn't really have to know Dari. I just had to fumble through the first verse, and then you get to the chorus and la 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 la. Okay, great, we all know la la la. But I don't really know how to translate it, and the internet was so slow that as I was trying to translate it, I thought it was something about flowers. I thought that's safe, right? We're not going to start any incidents. I can do this song. So the name of the song, and again, I'll read the Dari. I'm not a native speaker by any means. Tu Dar Bare Man Kube Simin. If I said anyone speak Dari, you can probably say that better than I could. So the basis of this song, I think about a flower. I think there's something about doing good. All right, that's safe. So I play this song for them. And at the end of the song, they're all just wide-eyed, and they're staring at me. And I'm thinking, okay, and I see them start to laugh. I'm like, oh no, where's Saeed? What did I do? What did I say? But the interpreter wasn't there that day. So I had to go find Saeed. So I find this guy again and I say, the song that they gave me, or that the guy that I picked, is this a decent song? He goes, oh yeah, that's great. Do it again for him next time. Oh no, Saeed's done this to me before. So I show up at class the next day and they say, Madam, play the song again, play the song again. So I play the song again, and finally I noticed Saeed is there that day, and he says, do you want to know what you've been singing about? Yes. He said, you've been singing a love song to a woman named Samim about how she smells like roses. So, like, okay. So the interpreter tells the class, did you guys ask her to sing this song? They said, no, we told her to pick. But then they all start laughing, and we've completely broken the ice.
Yeah.
So now we're starting to get along, and they say, will you play us, we turn on the computer, and will you log in, and will you play us something? And I think, oh, it'll be another Afghan folk song. Sure, this is great. We're really connecting. So they tell me what to type in, and I put it in, and all of a sudden, up on the computer screen, pops up these dancing women from Bollywood who are doing belly dancing. And these guys wanted me to log into the computer so I could play a video of belly dancing. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't play this for you. I'm going to get in trouble. So they all think this is hilarious. So now I've got these friends, right? Now we're friends. So we're all kind of getting along. And finally, at the end of teaching these guys, the very last day, again, a powerful moment, I go in to say goodbye, I'm going home, we're flying the MC-12 back. And as I walk in the last day, they all, at this point, they usually are sitting, this time they all stood for me. And they bowed their head, and they said, we would like to sing for you. And again, my students sang a beautiful song. I don't have the translation for that one. But this is a room of men with beautiful voices that are singing me a folk song. And I almost don't even want to know what it was. I can't take any more, right? I can't take any more of this emotional stuff. That I'm supposed to be tough. I'm supposed to be in combat. And these 800 hours flying, but I'm getting the most out of dealing with the locals and using the music. So if my grandmother were still with us, I would say thank you so much, Grandma, for teaching me about music and how we can use that to bridge cultures all over the world. So when you have experiences like this, what do you do when you come home and you're supposed to process what's been going on all the way to the other side of the world? What do you do with this information? I have now made these beautiful relationships. I'll probably never see them again. And I'm supposed to come back here and go to Walmart and fight the crowds in the lines where we have plenty of food on all the shelves. I'm supposed to go to a water fountain where you push a button and water comes out continuously. It doesn't stop. You know, we complain about a water shortage out in California where I live, but our water shortage doesn't even compare to my little girls that live in Kabul. And so how do you make sense of this? And I know I'm speaking to, preaching to the choir here. You all are here because you support and love veterans. So I don't need to tell you, well, let's take care of our veterans. But one little piece of it, if you're involved in this, please come talk to me afterwards. There might be other experts. But one little way of helping veterans when you return, I have found, has been through what's called equine therapy. And I think you guys had a speaker last year or sometime in the past that may have mentioned it. But equine-assisted activities, equine-facilitated psychotherapy, there's several different names. But what it is using horses to work with veterans. And I work as a therapeutic riding instructor out in Colorado Springs. And what you do is you take a horse and you take a veteran and you put them together in one arena and you let them figure out life lessons together. And if you know horses at all, kind of like dogs, people can hide their feelings. You can, if someone asks you how you doing, what do you always say? Fine. Are you really going to, actually, you know what, my baby won't stop crying, and we missed our flight, and I broke a heel. No one wants to hear that. But a dog lets you know how they feel, right? If you're having a bad day, they know your anxiety. We'll take a horse and magnify that, and they can read your body language. You can't hide your anxiety or your anger, so it's almost like having a mirror reflected back at you. Here's an example. You have someone who is involved with domestic violence. They come home from a combat zone, and the way that their anxiety or anger manifests is through violence to a spouse. Well, we have clients like that. They'll come to the barn, and I'll purposely choose a horse that I think will be the best mirror of this person to recognize their own anxiety or fear or anger. And I will purposely give them maybe a difficult or a stubborn horse, and show them. Most of you guys probably know, when a horse is afraid, what does it do? Yeah, you may have heard it, it's showing it visibly, but have you heard they'll either flight or fight with horses. If they can get away from you, they'll get away from you. If they can't get away from you, then they'll fight you. They'll show you something, either rearing up or kick you. And so if we're trying to show someone your anxiety, I'll say, I want you to go get the horse from the pasture, put a halter and lead rope on, bring him to the barn, and walk from A to B. Simple, right? Well, of course, I'll give him the horse that is difficult to catch and that doesn't like the anxiety or the anger, so afterwards we have to talk about it. And it's not like sitting on a couch. This isn't sitting and talking about your feelings, because a lot of people don't want to do that, including myself. I don't want to sit with someone and talk about my feelings. But when you get out there and you do something experiential, and you have to face when this horse is afraid of you and it won't come to you, you say, well, how do you think people feel in your life? When you have that much anger or anxiety, how do you think that people, your children, your spouse, are they feeling the same way? Do they want to go in the corner? Do they want to rear up and kick you? They may. So how can we actually deal with this? So you guys do have some in Michigan, but I worked at one in California called Ride to Walk. And then also in Colorado Springs, it's called Pikes Peak Therapeutic Riding Center. And it's just a phenomenal way to connect with veterans. I met Nadine. Where are you? Oh, she's such a great organization. So I don't want to take away from what you're doing. I was just going to mention 2 other organizations. But have you guys heard of the Michigan Fallen and Wounded Soldiers Fund? Anyone in here? They do an event every spring. I've been to the last couple. Last spring it was actually Chris Paranto, they call him Tonto, from Benghazi. He gave the speech last spring and they held it downtown in Detroit, near the casino. And it was a packed house. Michigan Fallen and Wounded Soldiers Fund. I don't make a dime from them. I'm not affiliated with them. I just support them. And what they do is local Michigan veterans, if they need something while they're waiting for the VA, or if they need, for instance, to pay off a rental payment, Michigan Fallen and Wounded Soldiers Fund, and they have a website, they'll collect that money and they'll give it to only Michigan veterans. And it's a really powerful organization. If you're looking for other ones other than Navy's, that sounds phenomenal. I'm going to look up yours as soon as I'm done. The other one, anyone heard of Mission Continues? The Mission Continues, and they have the 1st Battalion. This is by the newly elected governor, Eric Greitens, but politics aside, he was a Navy SEAL. And he went to Oxford, and he has a book called The Heart and the Fist. And if you really want to talk about a Navy SEAL who is able to combine using the heart and using the fist, this guy has this beautiful book, and it's really about coming to terms with those different things. He just won the seat for governor in Missouri, and he has this organization called The Mission Continues. And there is a Detroit chapter who just so happens to be doing a project in Detroit this Saturday at 10 a.m. at Central High School, or Central, and that's what they're calling themselves now, the Academy, from 10 to 4, and they have a free dinner, and it's a Detroit chapter. And it's just a phenomenal organization that's all over. It's national. And it's just a powerful way to give back. And what it does is it gives veterans internships and helps them get jobs so that the mission continues. And it was in honor of his buddy Travis Manion, who was killed in Iraq, who was a Naval Academy graduate. And he started it up in honor of the family, and it has just grown and grown and grown. So the Michigan Fallen Wounded Soldiers Fund, or the Mission Continues, or what is the name of JP's The Heart? This is so neat. I Heart Michigan Veterans. Love a Michigan Vet Project. That's just so phenomenal. Thank you so much for what you do. So, some of the experiences that I've had, it's just one start. It's just one little piece. You know, we can talk all about combat. I know we have Purple Heart winners in the room, and I'm humbled to be in your presence. Being a pilot, you're very safe. Being up in the air, I get to take care of other people and make sure that they're safe, but very, very few times where I feel like my life is actually in danger. So I have great respect for anyone who's on the front lines. But I also have a special place in my heart for the children and for the men of Afghanistan. And I would love to go back again and keep working with the students and see how far they've come and see how much my little girls have grown up. But what I wanted to do is actually play a song for you. I am by no means a professional player. We had a lady in the audience who was kind enough to let me borrow her guitar, so we didn't have to bring it all the way over here. But this is the song Indari that I wanted to leave you with. And then I'm here for questions if you have anything else. But after the song, I wanted to go back to that little question about life lessons from your grandparents. So keep thinking that in the back of your mind. What if I All right, this is in English. To be a man, Cuba man, Eskinare to Judah, This is the part you can all do. La 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 la. For finding the music in anything. And the way I want to kind of close this is thinking about those life lessons that you've learned. Think of ways that you can integrate and implement those to help veterans around you. You might have a gift. You might be a flight attendant that really has a heart for giving back to vets and you're a director of an organization. You might have a sport, you might work with horses. I see so many high school faces and you're just starting your journey. That's phenomenal. I just want to say at this time when our nation seems to have so much anxiety, right? I mean, you can go far left, you can go far right now, and it doesn't seem to be a lot of the middle. Let's just remember that we are all one nation, and to find the music during this election season, find the music anywhere that you can, and spread that music. So that's really all I have, unless you have questions. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.